Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I want to do is just kind of go over a brief overview of like the data analytics flow, like maybe like sort of more for more medium to small companies. So basically not like the big data pipelines that you might be doing where you're storing data in the cloud into special like table formats like Iceberg and using tools like Dremio to analyze them. The purpose of this video is more like you're a small company, the data you're working with generally can probably fit in a Google Sheet. Um, you might even be hand entering the data on a regular basis, and you just kind of want to analyze it. Analyze your sales for the month or something like that. Okay, so we're gonna walk through that. So let's say you start off and you are tracking your data on a sheet. So let's create, we'll say my data sheet. Okay, and I'm gonna put any spaces because that way we get better file names when we export this in a moment. But the idea is, let's say you want to say, this is, what you want to do is you want to have columns and rows. You want to structure your data on the spreadsheet in the same way you would structure a table in an SQL, which means the properties should be columns. So for example, we're talking about sales. We can say, okay, product sales, service sales, total sales. Okay, and then let me put an underscore there. Okay, spaces always cause trouble. Okay, and then we want to have like, January, February, March, April, May, June. We'll leave it at that. Okay, and generally we're going to put a formula here for total sales because total sales should be the combination of product sales, not produce. Why do I do that a lot lately? Product sales and service sales. So we'll just sit here and like say 600, 500, 400, 800, 900. Well, I wrote 800, so we'll go with that. 400, 700, 300, 200, 1,000, 1,200, and 400. Okay, but generally we don't want to have to manually add these things. We can take advantage of whether this is Excel or this is Google Sheets. We can use formulas. So I can just be like equals sum, and then basically this sum function allows me, and I can say, hey, I want you to add this and this cell. Well, let me try that again. Put the little inserter right there. Highlight the cells and see it says, okay, add those two cells. Hit enter. Okay, and then see it's recommending that I do the autofill. But just to show you how to do it manually, I can highlight the field that already has a formula, drag it down, and that'll automatically set up the formula, but you see it like it adjusts it for that particular, like it relatively adjusts the formula for that cell movement. So here I have like some data. Okay, so there's the data. Now, then what we want to do is generally want to export this data in some sort of format that we can then use in other platforms. So in this case, let's see here. I want to download. So we have all these different options, CSV, TSV. Let's download it as a CSV file, a comma separated file. Okay, so I'm going to download this as a CSV. So there I have the data as a CSV. Okay, I'm going to open it up in the folder that it appears in. So there it is, because I want to copy it over to VS Code. Here I have my data folder open. We'll come back to what this is in a second, but I'll just put this there. Okay, good. That data is now there. Okay, and this is what a CSV file looks like. Okay, each column has its name, then a comma. So again, the first field, this first column had no name. I should have put like month in there. So let me actually change that. Let's put month. Okay. So month, product sales, service sales, total sales, and then these all line up the columns. So you see each row or each line is one row, and then the columns are separated by commas. Okay, cool. So we have our CSV file there. Now, the next thing you'd want to do is like, maybe want to do some analysis on it or whatnot. So for that, what we want to do is open up our notebook. Okay, so I'm using Python here. If you haven't seen my other like the data Python videos, this will be part of that playlist. So find that playlist. Just look up like Alex Merced Python data. You'll find the playlist. I'll also actually add it to devnursery.com. But let's see here. What I want to do is I want to open up a terminal. And the first thing I need to do is open up my virtual environment that I have for this particular environment. So I'm going to just do that real quick. So that'd be source./datapy, because that's the virtual environment I created. I'm not going to get into like how you create a virtual environment right now, so I recommend you watch my other Python videos about virtual environments. But datapy/bin/activate, that should turn on the environment. We can see that it's on. See, because I see the datapy right there. So now I just want to confirm that I have what I need installed here. Okay, so I'm going to say pip list. Let's take a look what I got installed. Okay, so we have PyArrow. Setup tools. Okay, I think I have most of the things I want installed here. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to want is I want to install pandas. So pip install pandas. And I should have installed pandas SQL while I was at it. There's also a library called pandas SQL, so let's look that up. Pandas SQL, PyPy. Okay, there it is. Panda SQL. So let's go back to VS Code. Pip install, and again, pip is for installing things for Python. Pip install pandas SQL. So that'll install that. And we're going to want to turn on a notebook. So let me just remember how to do that. So let's see here, Python notebooks. Okay, and let's just go to install. Pretty sure I have this already installed, but I think I need to install it again for this particular environment. Okay, so let's just do pip install Jupyter Lab, copy. So pip install Jupyter Lab, so that way I can do notebooks. So that's installing, and then we'll just run this command, and then we'll be able to do notebooks. Okay, and I'm actually going to move this into the notebooks folder so I can have access to that data in there. I'm actually going to put it in this sources file. Sources, move. Okay, so I'm going to cd in the notebooks folder, cd into notebooks, because I already have this folder set up for this. And then I'm going to do Jupyter, and then what's the other part I need to type? Jupyter Lab. Okay. And that's going to open up this whole like notebook environment. So that's opening up. Okay, so here we go. So this is like a Jupyter notebook. So the idea here is I will use this to kind of do any analysis that I want, maybe even do some visualizations. But you see, like I just wrote down all the data in the spreadsheet, exported a CSV file. Now I'm opening up a notebook. So let's create a new notebook. Okay, so we'll create a Python 3 notebook. And what I'm going to want to do is import pandas as PD. And then I'm also going to want to import pandas QL as PS. And that should be good for now. So then we hit enter, play that. And then what that's going to do is it's importing the two libraries. So I'm bringing in pandas, and now we want to open up that CSV file. Okay, so let's look up the command in pandas to bring in a CSV file. So pandas open a CSV file. So right here, pandas.read CSV. So let's look at the documentation. Okay. File path. Okay, probably start with that. Let's see, does it give you an example? Okay. So let's go back to the notebook right here. So what I want to do is do pd.read CSV, and then I have to put a file path to, so we'll say file path equals because I can see in the documentation that there's an argument called file path or buffer. Oh, that's just the first argument, so it's not even a named argument. So in that case, I want to take this off and just put the file path. And we know that the file path is going to be /sources. Okay, /sources. And let's just examine sources / my datasheet. CSV, let's actually rename that. Rename my data.csv. Make our lives easier in typing. Okay, so sources / my data.csv. Okay, and again, that's going to basically read the data and then return us a pandas data frame that we can then work with. Okay, so then I'm going to create a variable. So we'll just say, hey, my data frame equals, and then let's print out that data frame so we can just see what we're working with. My df, and let's just hit run. And see, there's the data. So see, I got the data. Okay, so month, product sales, service sales, total sales. There it is, all nice and organized like a table. Okay, and with that, we can use Pandas SQL to actually run SQL on that. Okay, so for example, let's just take a look here. PySQLDF. Let's just see if I need a good example. Okay, pip install. Uses SQLite syntax, any pandas data frames. And here we go. Print PySQLDF from PandasSQL SQLDF. Okay, let's just kind of see how it all comes together. So here, PySQLDF Q. Let's see here. Some more documentation in this. Let's go over here. So the basics. The main function is used in Pandas. SQL is SQLDF, accepts two parameters, a SQL query string, simple enough. A set session environment variables, locals, globals, specify lambda SQL function, uses SQLite syntax. Any Pandas data frames will automatically be detected for Pandas SQL. You can query them as you would like any other table. So select from meet. Load birth. Joins and aggregations. Okay, so the documentation on that last library was a little confusing. So I found this one. This looks a little bit newer, looks a little bit better. This is a QPD, Query Pandas like data frames. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this library. So let's install that. So I'm going to grab this, head back over here. I'm going to open up a different terminal. So boop. Hit paste. Oh wait, no, I got to make sure I'm inside the virtual environment. So let's do that. Source dot slash datapy slash bin slash activate. Pip install that. So that's going to install that, and let's use that instead. So according to the documentation, it's just simple as one, importing this. So let's just grab that and put that back in our notebook. So again, instead of taking this Pandas SQL thing, we will just paste this in there. There we go. I'm going to rerun that. And I'm going to rerun this. Perfect. Okay, so basically this should work a bit simpler. So we'll find out in a moment. Where did it go? Also down here. Okay, so essentially all we got to do is take this syntax here. So run SQL on Pandas. So let me just go over here. Run SQL on Pandas. And then what you do is first you pass in the string with the SQL. Oops. No. Okay, so let's say, hey, I only want to look at product sales. That's it. So we'll say select, and actually I want to sum all of the product sales. So sum product sales. Product sales as total sales, so that we rename it total sales or total product sales. Again, I'm assuming that you have some familiar with SQL. This is more just to show you sort of like from point A to point B, kind of just like a workflow. So select sum product sales as total product sales. So basically I'm saying, hey, add up all of the product sales. And then from, and we'll just call it data. Okay, now how does it know that this table is called data? Well, what's going to happen is as a second argument, we're going to pass in a dictionary where we can give the name. So I'm going to say, hey, data equals this particular data frame, so my df. So that way, when I query data, in the query, it knows that this is referring to my data frame that we defined up here because I mapped it in this dictionary that's run right afterwards. Now I want to save the result in a variable, so we'll call this results equals, and then we're going to want to print those results. Print results. So we'll print the results, and let's hit run. Okay, oh, we got an error, so let's take a look. Handling of the above exception. Select some mismatch input total product sales expecting in the file. Okay, so maybe it wants me to put that semicolon. Okay, select sum product sales as total product sales from data. Yeah, that should work. Okay, well, I'll just take off the renaming of the field. Keep it simple. Select sum product sales from data. Let's try that again. Yep, and there we go. Okay, and see what it did. It added up everything in this column because that's the SQL query did. Okay, didn't really like my as predicate. Oh well. But now I have that as a data frame. Okay, let's see if it lets me pass in a name if I do this, like totals. Okay, I don't think that should work, but let's try it out. Oh, that did work. Okay, so I guess it just wants me to pass in the name right afterwards. Okay, and there you go. Okay, and so I can do SQL right here in Pandas using this. Okay, so again, I don't necessarily have to have all my data in a database. I could have my data in Google. If you're like a real small business, you could have your data in a very bunch of Google Sheets. I can export them as CSVs, do my analytical work here using Pandas on a notebook, and then if I wanted to create some data visualizations, well, let's take a look. Okay, now Pandas has different like visualization functions built into it, so that's one you can use. Also libraries like matplotlib, and there's other visualization libraries. But let's try this. Like I think it's what df dot, like right here I have it open, so it's df dot plot. So let's try it out, see how that looks like. But it wouldn't be called my df, it would be my original data frame, my df dot plot. Now if I do this, let's run it. Oh, didn't like it. Matplotlib is required for plotting when the default backend matplotlib is selected. Oh, okay, so it's just telling me that I need to have matplotlib installed. Well, let me check. Do I already have it installed? I might. Pip list matplotlib. No. Oh, I do. Okay. So, but actually I have matplotlib inline. So let me pip install properly. Pip install matplotlib. Okay, so that's installed. Let's see if this. Hopefully I don't have to restart the whole server, but let's see here. Let's try that again. Oops, I want to run this cell again. So I hit play. Okay, well this time it didn't fail, so that's good. But it didn't quite make the chart that I wanted. Okay, so let's see here. Line create and be created by dataframe.plot function, which we did. Okay. Let's see here. So let's create each type. Okay, let's try this. Matplotlib in a Jupyter notebook. with pandas. There we go, plotting pandas. So import pandas, we did that. Okay, we see how we got this. Okay, so I mean, like, just to show you like that, so you get this kind of chart look. I mean, that just me saying, oh, there's a chart. The chart did eventually appear. I just wasn't patient. Okay, but you can see there, I could generate a chart, and again, I can get more specific. Again, I can do my SQL queries to get the data that I want. So again, I could also do like results.plot, although it's not going to be that interesting a chart because chart results is really just one number. So you see, like, yeah, that's not a very interesting chart. But let's say I did this. Let's say, you know, we change this to be select just month and service sales from data. So if I run this again, that's going to run this again. That's going to take a second, so I should probably be patient. Okay, oh, didn't like that one. It's not defined. I guess it wants me to use this space. I don't know if that space would work though. I know what I need to do. I need to put quotation marks around it. Oh, out of practice. Okay, let's hit play. Yep, there we go. So that looks correct. Then let's run this one again. Oh, doesn't like that one now. Says no numeric data to plot. Oh, because this just says service sales. Oh, interesting. It's not the Control C. Let's edit the actual source data so that way there's no spaces. Oh, there is no underscore there. That's why. Okay. So let's run that again. That was just bad data quality. Okay. So I'm going to run this again. I'm going to run this again. And take that out there. Put this underscore back here. Run that. There we go. That looks better. And see, now I get this nice little chart. And essentially that's essentially the main thrust of it. Now, of course, there's going to be interesting sort of things you're trying to find in the data, especially with like different robust data sets, and you might have different joint data, maybe a couple of CSV files you'd like to join. You can do all that by just using this SQL. So you can just, again, take these two libraries, which includes, you know, query pandas like data frames, QPD, pandas, take your CSVs that you got from your Google Sheets, query them, and here you go. Okay, so this is just, again, a quick fray. I'll probably do like a deeper dive into this a little bit later on, but just wanted to show you guys so that way, for those of you who might be interested in like what data analytics could look like on a small scale for a small company, this you know, like basically this is probably this workflow starting from like a Google Sheet could be like, you know, again, a small to medium business. Like there's sizable businesses that still just like operate without a database using Google Sheets and Excel spreadsheets. Although having a database can definitely make things a little bit easier. But yeah, you can still kind of get all the same analytical tools and visualization tools still available to you, with just a sprinkle of Python and a sprinkle of SQL. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy. Make sure to subscribe to my podcast, Data Nation, and my podcast, Web Dev 101, for all sorts of really cool technological commentary. Have a good one.